Let's be honest for a moment. Have you ever surveyed your life and felt like you're just hitting repeat on the same day, over and over? Different coffee, same sensation, another dawn, same version of you. Yet, when something feels off, what do we typically do? We adjust the playlist, swap out the skincare routine, or maybe purchase a new book we'll never finish, because that counts as progress, right? But here's the thing. Change doesn't come from redecorating the same mindset. You can rearrange the furniture in your comfort zone 1,000 times. It's still the same room. You see, most people don't actually fear change. They fear becoming someone else to meet that change. They've tied so much of their identity to who they've been that becoming who they need to be feels like betrayal. And, let's be honest, it's way easier to stick with familiar pain than risk unfamiliar peace. Weird how we work like that, huh? But what if I told you that nothing actually has to be added to you for everything around you to change? No, you don't need to manifest harder. You don't need another journal prompt or a motivational quote that says, "You got this," with a sunrise background. You need to understand this one core truth. You're not stuck because you're incapable. You're stuck because you're loyal to a version of you that you've outgrown. And holding on to it, that's the reason nothing changes. Okay, so let's sit with that for a second, because here's where most people get it twisted. They think change means hustle harder, grind more, wake up at 4 a.m., and drink lukewarm celery juice while journaling about their 5-year plan. And hey, if that's your thing, no judgment. But most of the time, that's not change. That's just performance. Real change doesn't look impressive at first. It's not sexy. You're not going to post a story about it. You're not going to get applause for setting boundaries or quietly choosing peace over another draining conversation. But that's the shift. It's the quiet rewiring of your autopilot responses. It's catching yourself right before you say yes out of guilt, and instead pausing, sitting with the discomfort of not people-pleasing. That's where the real growth lives, in those little ordinary moments where you almost betray yourself and then don't. Because here's what happens when you stay the same. Your life keeps showing you mirrors. Different situations, same patterns. New people, same lessons. It's not the world doing it to you. It's you unconsciously choosing what feels familiar, even if it hurts. And sometimes staying the same doesn't look like failure. It looks like being really good at surviving. You function, you smile, you get things done. But underneath that, there's a kind of slow ache. Like you know you're not meant to just cope your way through this life. You were built for something more than getting by. But to get to that more, you have to be willing to disappoint some people. You have to be okay with letting parts of you die off. Parts that were only built to keep you safe, not to set you free. And that's terrifying, I know, but it's also the most honest kind of liberation you'll ever feel. Comfort can be deceiving. It doesn't always feel good. Sometimes it feels like emptiness dressed up as routine. You wake up, you do the things, you say you're fine. But deep down there's this quiet tug, like your life is technically working but nothing feels truly aligned. And it's not that you're lazy. You're just running on autopilot, trapped in a loop that's too familiar to question. Wake up, scroll, survive, sleep, repeat. That loop becomes your identity. So when the thought of doing something different comes in, whether it's setting boundaries, ending something that's fine, or choosing yourself for once, your whole system resists, because it's not just about change. It's about detachment. Detaching from what kept you feeling safe, even if it was quietly suffocating you. But you can't heal in the same environment that made you sick. You can't evolve while feeding habits that were designed to keep you small. At some point, you have to choose discomfort, the right kind of discomfort. Not the one that drains your soul, but the one that stretches it. It's uncomfortable to say, "I don't want this anymore," when you can't fully explain why. It's uncomfortable to outgrow a friendship that never technically wronged you. It's uncomfortable to admit that you've changed and you're not sorry for it. But growth always requires loss, not necessarily of people, but of identities, of coping mechanisms, of outdated values that were only ever borrowed, not chosen. And when you finally start letting go of those pieces, you don't feel lighter at first. You feel exposed because now there's space. And space feels terrifying when you're used to filling every silence with distraction. But that space, that's where the shift happens. That's where you begin to surface. Not the version that's been trying to hold it all together, but the real one. The one you buried underneath everyone else's expectations. That's who's been waiting to meet you. There's this quiet moment in every transformation that no one warns you about. Not the breakthrough, not the big emotional release, but the in-between. That strange empty middle where you're no longer who you were, but not yet who you're becoming. And that space, it messes with your head. You start questioning everything. You wonder if you made a mistake by letting go of what felt familiar. You wonder if maybe you were better off back there, even though back there was slowly draining the life out of you. This is where most people turn around. Not because they're weak, but because no one ever told them that healing feels a lot like losing your sense of identity. Because it is. You're no longer reacting out of old wounds. You're no longer pretending everything's fine just to make others comfortable. You're no longer saying yes just to avoid guilt. And without those behaviors, it can feel like there's nothing left. But let me tell you something real. That emptiness isn't the end. It's the reset. That quiet space you're standing in is where clarity starts to grow. Not loud, not fast, but gently. Like the way the sun rises slowly before the world wakes up. This is where your real decisions begin. Not the ones you made because you were pressured, not the ones driven by fear or habit, but the ones that come from stillness, from presence, from truth. It's in this space that you stop building a life out of survival and start building one that actually feels like yours. And yeah, it's not always going to feel stable at first. You'll miss the rush of chaos sometimes. You'll second guess the peace. But don't confuse the lack of noise with the lack of progress. Silence isn't empty. It's full of the answers you've been too busy to hear. And once you stop running from that silence, once you start listening without needing to fix or figure it all out, something starts to unlock. You begin to feel your own rhythm again, your own voice. It's your own direction. Not the one handed to you, not the one everyone expects, but the one that's been there all along underneath all the noise you thought you needed. And when you start living from that place, life doesn't just look different. It feels different, real, aligned, free. At some point in your journey, you realize the biggest weight wasn't what you were carrying. It was who you were carrying it for. See, it's not just the habits that keep you stuck. It's the subtle expectations that creep into your decisions. The fear of disappointing people who only ever liked the version of you that stayed small. The worry that if you change too much, you'll outgrow the spaces you fought to belong to. The guilt of no longer wanting what you once begged for. And that creates a kind of quiet inner war. One part of you is ready to move, another part is still negotiating with your past. You start asking, what if I lose them? What if they think I've changed? What if I don't even recognize myself anymore? But here's what most people never tell you. Change isn't about becoming someone new. It's about finally honoring who you've always been underneath all the performing. You're not changing into a different person. You're just shedding everything that was never really you. The fake enthusiasm, the over-explaining, the pretending to be fine just to keep things easy. You were never meant to stay inside those versions of yourself forever. They were survival, skins, They helped you get through hard seasons, sure, but now they're too tight, too loud, too outdated for who you're becoming. And as you grow, you'll notice something strange. You'll start craving peace more than attention, silence more than noise, depth over distraction. And that can feel lonely, especially at first. Not because you're broken, but because you're finally tuned into a frequency that most people spend their whole lives avoiding. You'll stop needing people to understand your boundaries. You'll stop seeking applause for your healing. You'll stop chasing closure from people who were never equipped to give it because something shifts. Not loudly, not dramatically, but quietly. Like a door that's been stuck for years finally opening. Not because it was kicked down, but because you stopped trying to force it and just let go. And what's on the other side of that door? Not perfection, not clarity every day, but what growth actually feels like. Alignment. Peace that doesn't need to be earned. A life that doesn't drain you to maintain. And once you taste that, there's no going back to good enough. There's no pretending the old way still works. There's just forward. Even if it's quiet, even if it's slow, even if no one claps, there comes a moment when you realize the breakthrough isn't something you reach. It's something you allow. Not because you found the perfect system or finally became disciplined enough, but because you stopped resisting what was already trying to unfold. See, we've been conditioned to believe that progress has to be loud, that growth is always visible, that if your life isn't drastically changing, you must not be doing it right. But the truth is, real change often slips in quietly. It shows up in the way you pause before reacting, the way you breathe through discomfort instead of running from it, the way you notice an old trigger and instead of collapsing, you choose to observe. That's progress. It's subtle, internal, and it doesn't come with fireworks. It comes with clarity, and clarity is soft. But to reach that level of clarity, you have to stop performing, not just for others, but for yourself. Because we all have these internal performances. We're constantly running, convincing ourselves we're okay, pretending we're not still holding resentment, acting like we've let go of something we're still emotionally chained to. But here's the truth. The life you say you want, it can't meet you at the level of your performance. It can only meet you at the level of your honesty, and honesty is where everything changes. When you stop trying to outrun your patterns and start actually witnessing them. When you stop asking for peace while secretly feeding the very chaos that keeps you stuck. When you stop editing your truth for the comfort of people who were never meant to walk with the real version of you anyway. That's when you shift. And you don't shift because life got easier. You shift because you finally stopped arguing with your own knowing. That inner whisper. The one that's been nudging you, pulling at you, maybe even screaming at you in quiet moments. That's not your imagination. That's your alignment trying to get your attention. And it will keep showing up in your boredom, in your frustration, in that quiet dissatisfaction that you keep pushing down. You're not broken. You're just out of sync with your next chapter. And the only way to step into it is to stop clinging to the one that already ended. The discomfort you're feeling, it's not punishment. It's a portal, a call to shift, a space where the familiar no longer fits and the future hasn't arrived yet. And if you're standing in that space confused, tired, unsure, good, that means you're paying attention. That means you're awake. That means the change has already begun. So now you're here, at the edge of something you can't quite explain. You're not fully out of the old, but you're definitely not who you used to be either. And that's the space no one teaches you how to hold. That blurry, quiet, uncomfortable middle where the old patterns feel suffocating, but the new ones haven't fully formed yet. It's in that space where most people give up. They convince themselves they're stuck when really they're just transforming. You see, staying the same is easy. It doesn't ask anything from you. It keeps things predictable, familiar. But staying the same also slowly starves your spirit, and eventually, pretending becomes heavier than the truth you've been avoiding. So here's the moment. The one where you decide not to fix everything overnight, but to finally choose yourself. In small, consistent, unshakable ways. To say, I'm done caring what no longer belongs to me. I'm done waiting for the right moment to become who I already am underneath all this noise. It won't always feel dramatic. Sometimes the biggest change happens in a quiet decision no one else sees. A breath, a boundary, a truth you whisper to yourself and finally stop apologizing for. That's how it starts. It begins in the stillness, in the moments when you're alone with your thoughts, when the world around you fades into the background. It's in those silent spaces where you find the strength to make a choice that will ripple through your life, altering its course in ways you never imagined. And here's what I want you to do. If this video felt like a mirror, if something in you softened, cracked, or woke up, comment the word shift. Just that one word, a declaration, a reminder, a beginning. Shift. Because that's what this was. A shift in your story, a shift in your energy, a shift in what you're no longer willing to carry forward. It's a moment of realization, a turning point where you decide to leave behind the burdens that have been weighing you down. It's a commitment to yourself, a promise to honor your truth and live authentically. Leave it down below so I know you felt this, not just with your mind but with something deeper. Let it be a testament to your journey, a marker of the moment you decided to take control of your narrative. Share it with pride, knowing that you're part of a community of individuals who are also on this path of self-discovery and growth. Your comment is more than just a word. It's a beacon of hope for others who are watching, waiting for their own shift to begin. Before you go, I've got something special to share. My first ever ebook just dropped, and it's pinned in the comments right now. It's short, powerful, and straight from the heart, like the kind of video you'd want to keep in your back pocket when you forget who you are. This ebook is a collection of insights and reflections that have guided me on my own journey, and I hope they will do the same for you. It's a toolkit for those moments when you need a reminder of your strength, your resilience, and your capacity for change. By grabbing it, you're not just supporting the channel. You're helping me make more ebooks, more deep content, more real conversations like this one. If these videos have ever helped you, grounded you, or reminded you that you're not alone, this is your chance to support back, and I'd be so grateful. Your support means the world to me. It fuels my passion to create content that resonates with you, that speaks to your soul, and that inspires you to live your best life. So, take the shift with you. Comment shift. Check the pinned comment if you're ready to go even deeper. And remember, nothing changes if you stay the same. But right now, you're already changing, bit by bit, word by word, moment by moment. This time, you're not going back. You're stepping forward into a new chapter of your life, one where you embrace your power, your truth, and your potential. You're choosing to live intentionally, to make decisions that align with your values, and to create a life that reflects who you truly are. As you embark on this journey, remember that change is a process. It's not always linear, and it's not always easy. There will be moments of doubt, of fear, of uncertainty, but there will also be moments of joy, of triumph, of profound connection. Embrace them all, for they are the threads that weave the tapestry of your life. And know that you are not alone. You are part of a community of individuals who are walking this path with you, who are cheering you on, and who believe in your ability to create the life you desire. So, take that first step. Make that quiet decision. Whisper that truth to yourself. and watch as your life begins to shift in ways you never thought possible. You are the author of your story, the creator of your reality, and the architect of your dreams. And with each shift, you are one step closer to the life you were meant to live.